Hello, I am live, and I know this is a weird time to come on, but I am so excited because I finally nailed down Kristen to meet me on my channel. So here she is. Hello, Kristen. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. So I do not have sound. Okay. Okay, you're on mute for some reason. Did I put you on mute? I see a mute on your microphone on there we go. I still can't hear you. Ah, I this is just like VIPKid. I cannot hear you. I have no sound. Can you guys in the chat box, can you hear me? Hello, Evelyn. Hello, Jason. Okay. Can you hear me? I cannot hear Kristen. So I don't know if it's my end or her end. Anybody? Let us know if you can hear. Kristen is on mute right now. I can't hear you. This has never happened. There, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, there we go. It's
Great.
setting this guy up. I apologize for that.
No problem.
But you can hear me. I can hear you. That's good.
Okay, great. Because I actually have a microphone, that I have a MacBook Pro, and it's tricky trying to get something that works.
Yeah, it's set up so when I use it for my outschool classes, it works flawlessly. Okay. I don't know if it's friends with SteamYard, so that's okay. We have made it work.
It might be just, doing a setting or something. But anyway, yay! Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, you're very welcome. I guess I can pop these off because you're my main speakers.
Okay. Whew. Excellent. Well, good morning.
Good morning to you too.
Yeah, I do not have any VIPKid classes today, so
no, I don't teach ESL on Wednesdays. I've been putting together a schedule, and it usually has Wednesdays as a morning to not be teaching in the AM until like afternoon classes, if any at all. So I get it. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So are you still teaching VIPKid? Still?
I wasn't. I was signed up. I was still technically hired. And then when everything happened, right along the same time that my salary for my teaching job went away, I thought, you know what? Let's pivot and add ESL back. So now the schedule usually looks Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 7 to 9 ESL, 9 to 11 out school. So it's usually like a 7 to 11 work schedule.
Right.
And then if I have a multi-day class or a camp that goes through like Monday to Friday, that's when I'll teach on a Wednesday. Like today I have 3 camps finishing. So I will teach 3 classes today, but none of them are ESL.
Awesome. Okay. Well, before we really get into conversation, I want to just thank you, obviously, first for coming on my channel.
Of
and
course.
Secondly, maybe most importantly, thank you so much for all your videos and all the help that you've given to us as teachers. It's just really my privilege to thank you personally.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah, for the impact that you've had on us. And even as a person who creates YouTube videos, you give a good example to us on how to go about doing the videos, what to maybe, how to grow. And, as you've made changes and you've put in different types of content, that's been great as well. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I think it's all part of this community because there are times I won't know something and I will go search for it and I'll look if people have videos or just content on it now because there's so many places you can find content anymore. So I feel like it's all a community and there are things that I don't know. People will ask me, well, I have kids. How do I manage online teaching? And that is not something I can really give information on. The only thing I have to keep alive is that cat over there. But on the idea of pivoting, I did ask like my community on YouTube here and on Instagram what they were looking for. And I think I wrote down every single comment. So I've taken 2 weeks off from YouTube. You're my only YouTube appearance for, I think, the rest of the month. Maybe I have a video going live on the August 31st. But I've just written down what everybody's been looking for, what would help people the most, and that is kind of where the fall content is coming from. It's kind of like just a request season.
Yeah. I think I'll put in my 2 cents. I would say I like the content where we need information, but I also love the content where it's just fun. Because I don't really watch TV, you know, and I love to see the serious content, but I love to see, like yesterday I was watching some I put it on my iPad group on Facebook, where this guy, I can't even remember his name, but he did some parodies about VIPKid, and it was making me laugh and cry all at the same time, you know. So that's really fun too, is just bringing out the fun, bringing out the smiles, helping us to have a little bit of a light heart, even though many of us are going through hard times. So that would be maybe an avenue you haven't pursued quite yet.
Yeah. I felt so mixed when the whole ESL debacle started, because I hadn't made content about that, and I had just taken my like weeks off of YouTube, and I remember just following other YouTubers like Teacher Tim, who you've had here. I was like, he knows more because he doesn't teach on OutSchool. He is solely an ESL. So anytime people would ask me questions, I was like, that way, steer that way. He knows more than I do on that. But yes, I like people that can keep things lighthearted, like you said, and I do like sharing behind the scenes. I'm actually filming a video today, which is why I was totally fine waking up early. I think I'm doing a video called like my morning routine teaching from home. And it's just going to share like this kind of schedule. I guess this interview proves like she does wake up at 7. This is what she does.
Yeah. And I usually come in at 9, so I'll have a lot of people pop in. But I knew this was probably being a low attended live video. But I usually have people that will watch like later throughout the day.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm sure this is going to get watched on, they call it watching the replay. But yeah, in my state, we just opened up. I just found out last night, and this is something you might want to check out to share with teachers, that parents in our state can apply for a grant, and it's like an education kind of a stipend type thing, where you can, if you take your kid out of public school, you can use the money for your homeschool. You can use it for, like, if you want to send them to a private school, and it's about $4,900.
Yeah,
so it's pretty substantial.
That happens in my state as well, because I used to teach in a private school, and I didn't know this was a thing until I heard, you know, mom and dad student drop off in the morning. Like I would hear the parents talk about getting, it's not like a rebate, but it's just a credit they get for sending their kids.
Like for us, it's called an education freedom account. I've heard it's called an education, I don't know, education something account for other states. But for us, it's called education.
What state do you live in, Cindy? I did not even know.
I'm in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Oh, that's right. You did say that. I'm sorry.
A video about it because I want it. We're actually, it like opened up like yesterday to qualify, and you have like till October 1st. So they're trying to find and it does have a family income cap on it, which is
I gotcha.
In my state, you can't. It's kind of limited on how many people can qualify, but education freedom account, and that's New Hampshire. I think it's named something else, but anyway, that's a good thing. I thought for teachers, like if you live in a state where that's available, you could get 3 or 4 students together and have your own little school, and they could pay you. Yes. I mean, I've done homeschool free for years, so that's a way you could actually get paid. I need help researching. I will check into it, or you can check into it at your state, your homeschooler people. Ask the like private Christian schools if they have it, and that could be really helpful.
I had a couple homeschooled students take some longer like voice, piano, music theory classes, and their mother wrote me, I think after like the 8th week, so 2 months in, and she said like after a certain number of weeks, I could print them like a certificate that proved they had been in the class, and it was like going to fill a credit. That was something I did not know was an option. I didn't know if it was something specific to their circumstance. All I had to do was just make a certificate. I put my teaching credential on it and sent it back to her. She said that's all she needed, and it worked for whatever she needed with her daughter. That was something I did not, and I apologize. I do not know what that was called or what, credit that filled for that family, but that was just something I did not expect to be asked, but it happened, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that I know for us for homeschooling, like I could make a portfolio and that could go in there. And then when you have to prove whatever you did for your kids, it's part of that. Like as a parent, we can qualify anything. So like my kid taught violin. So I put that in as speech, music. She got lots of credits for that because she did a lot of work.
I think with the pandemic, they also were looking for like what ways can the students still do certain activities when they can't be with people. Like for me, when I even started on OutSchool, some of my very first classes were just what my students weren't getting in the pandemic, like college prep. No one was preparing them for, if you go to school in the arts, like music, performance, or education, you have to not only get into the school academically, you have to actually go in and audition like a show, but you have to audition and take theory exams. So my first like batch of OutSchool classes was serving that community of these thousands of kids that lost their senior musical, didn't know how they were going to prepare for their auditions. And I only had the idea to do it because I was preparing so many students here in person. So when I got onto OutSchool, I just thought, okay, I don't know how to play Among Us. I'm not going to make a slime tutorial. I am not certified in the maths or the science. Like my certification is K-12 music. How can this serve the kids right now? And that is how I kind of made my initial group and batch of classes on OutSchool, was just kind of figuring out what the kids needed and what would help them. That's why I tell all the teachers on my YouTube channel, like, I can't tell you what to teach because I don't know what skills you have. I know some people who know things like Among Us and Fortnite and Roblox, and they will go and they will do so incredibly well in their classes. That's not something that I can teach. So I just tell people to look at, what do you know, what could you teach, and what would keep you, interested and you engaged as the teacher, because if you're not engaged in it, then I don't know how that's going to go.
Right. It's definitely an interesting situation. Now, Jason, who's on here, he's like, I don't know. I think he has his doctorate or something. And he taught VIPKid. He's still teaching VIPKid, but he was talking about doing like a manners class for boys. I'm like, that's perfect. That would be awesome.
I mean, I teach a class on how to behave and how to prepare an audition in the theater. And we actually do talk about, like, when you're in the audition room, do not discuss other people or how they did or your opinions on them, because you do not know who's in that room. So we kind of have that talk too, but that's a very, very good idea. Sometimes I just ask the parents, like, what would you like to see on this platform? Like, is there something else that because I'm not a parent, like I said before, so I don't pretend to know what the kids need to know outside of like the academia that I have in my education degree. So I always ask the parents, what do you think they need? Sometimes I even ask the learners, the older learners, I should say. I don't teach under the age of 8 on OutSchool. That's usually my lowest age. VIPKid, whatever is sent to me between 7 and 9 a.m., until the time change comes, which I just thought about. That can be a discussion for later. Oh,
Yeah.
it's been a while. I honestly didn't open up slots on VIPKid until late July, and I was going to like share it on my channel, but then I said, you know what, let's just see how it goes. And then the whole debacle happened, and I didn't want to share if I had gotten like a bunch of bookings or not, if there were a bunch of families who were losing like their big platform. But I did try to learn from the whole ESL situation. I thought, you know what, this happened on ESL, but that does not mean it can't happen here. So how can we learn from this? So I've added VIPKid back in the schedule, and I've also applied and have started to plan to put Cambly in my slots if they don't book. It's like my plan B. If VIPKid doesn't book or an out school class has no enrollment, I will open that little half-hour time, and I will at least be like on call for Cambly, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't know. But I wanted to talk a little bit about VIPKid since it is kind of phasing out, as we know.
I know.
So I have watched a lot of your videos, and I think you kind of started as like a like on a ship, right? You were doing, you know, like, what do they call it? Like
I was an entertainer. I was on the entertainment staff. I was a singer. I did their production shows. That was my first job. I went straight from high school to undergraduate to my master's degree to cruise ship life. So to be completely frank, I was 28 years old and I had no idea how the world worked. No idea. I would call my mom and be like, Mom, do you know how high rent prices are? What are all these bills? Because I had come from like academia life to a world where you didn't need a car. Your housing was paid for because you lived on a ship. All your bills were paid for because you lived on a ship. So I got off that ship and I moved back to Columbus. I chose Columbus over New York because it was just much more affordable. Quality of life was just so much better. No regrets on that. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I post like downtown shots of Columbus. It usually is posted whenever somebody writes to me and is like, you chose Ohio. Why did you choose cornfields? And I'm like, look at this beautiful skyline. It's actually the background on this computer right now. But yes, I came from cruise ships.
So did you leave cruise ships on your own, like because you wanted to, or were you?
Yes, I chose because to be completely honest, I'm actually still on their hire list. The week I took off of YouTube, I actually got an email asking me if I wanted to go do what's called a fill, which is kind of like the substitute teaching version of cruise ship singing. Somebody needed to go home the first 2 weeks of September, and I've done 7 ships with Carnival Cruise Line, so I know their shows, I know their songs, I know their ports of call. Like, I've got it. I'm probably in the back of their minds as like somebody who they could just call it. And now that I'm married, going off and doing an 8-month stint on a cruise ship is not going to happen. But I did answer your question. I left on my own terms. I had done, like I said, 7 different ship contracts. So I'd been on board for 8 months and come home and gone back out years. I want to say like half a decade I've gone by. I lived most of my 20s at sea, which was great. Wow. But I noticed people that had stayed into their 30s. I was noticing these behaviors like depression, alcoholism, I think there's something psychological that happens, and I am not a doctor on this at all. So please don't take this with a grain of salt. This is what I just noticed. People who had stayed longer than, 5-6 years, I think something happens psychologically when you are seeing your family and friends solely through, social media, and you're seeing people advance in life, getting jobs, getting married, buying houses, having kids, and you are, even though it's beautiful, when you work on a cruise ship, the guests only come once and do that rotation. I did it, 28 to 30 times, same rotation. So yes, Bahamas are beautiful. Yes, the Virgin Islands, Curacao, the Bermuda, they're all beautiful. when you see them 30 weeks in a row and half the time you can't get off the ship because you have rehearsal, you are not on vacation. So people always ask, why did you leave such a beautiful life? Like, you had it made. And I was like, I did, but I've never cruised as a guest. So I don't really know what that life is like, because when you aren't doing shows, you actually have rehearsals or boat drills. And for me, I went through a phase, I don't think I've ever talked about this on this channel, at least in a long time. I used to go through a phase where all of my TV was pre-recorded and put on like an external hard drive. And the only shows I had from my roommates on the ships were like TLC shows. So I became infatuated with things like extreme couponing. And all I wanted to do was like save as much money on the cruise ship. So I would, if I wasn't doing a show, I would go and get like side hustle jobs on the cruise ship. So I got kind of used to, here's my normal job and here are side hustle jobs. And it was normally working in the art gallery or like the jewelry store. It's weird to say like I lived on a ship and did my job, but then in my free time, I did a side hustle. But that's kind of how VIPKid came into the world. It was initially going to be when I moved to Columbus and I got a corporate job, because if you want to buy a house, one of these, which I can't buy right now because everybody outbids me. But back in 2017, when I bought this house, the bank wanted to take my down payment because I had saved every penny on that cruise ship. But without like taxable income, they weren't going to sign a mortgage for me. So I went and I got a job in corporate America, and VIPKid was going to be like my side hustle if I needed extra money. Because as I said, I was not used to the real world. I did not know, you know, here's my rent versus my mortgage. And I was paying, I don't mind telling you, I was paying over $1,000 to live in like a 500-foot studio apartment in downtown Columbus. And when I moved here, it is much, much, much less. And it's something that I will own. Of course, these are things all the adults watching your replay are going to be like, yeah, how did you not know that? But that was really how.
No, a lot of people don't. A lot of people keep paying rent and they think they can't afford a house, and they don't realize you get a house.
The only reason I can afford anything, and I'll say this because I know she will find this and she will watch your replay. My mother is the only reason that I know anything. And she does not pay any of my bills. When I came back, she was like, you're the adult, but she was like my unofficial advisor. She would be like, you don't like paying this much in rent plus utilities? You've got that good chunk of money in your savings account. Sounds like it's time for a down payment. And when I, was going to try to keep my old car that was 10 years old and falling apart this past December, thank God she and my husband pushed me to buy my Honda now, because now I guess you can't really get a car very easily. Apparently there's like a shortage, so they have jacked up prices of that too. But it was just like a perfect storm of I would like to try to work with VIPKid, which, by the way, I did not hear about VIPKid from teachers. I heard about it through actors in New York.
Okay.
I was doing a union show here in Columbus. Union means like professional theater. We were getting paid. We were in the union. And they were bringing in actors. We were doing Dreamgirls. And a lot of the actors from New York were saying, hey, I can't go out late after rehearsal tonight. I'm working a 4-hour shift online. And I thought, like, what are we talking about online? Like, you hear that, you don't really know what's going on. And they explained to me that some of the actors in the city were no longer waiting tables or bartending. They were working at VIPKid. And they were explaining it to me. They were like, yeah, you just open up the times you're available. So if, I want to sleep a night, I just don't open those slots. And I was like, this is an MLM. This cannot be real. Because as a performer, you always get those like, do you want to be your own boss? Do you want to be a girl boss? Come sell our makeup or our leggings or whatever it is. And if that's someone's cup of tea, that's great, but it's not mine. So I did a ton of research. And then 3 months after hearing about it, I got laid off from corporate America, and then thought, well, guess it's time to time to make a pivot. I already own this house, and the only real reason I got a job in corporate America was to buy this house. Thank God the bank can't take it back from you as long as you pay your mortgage if you have a big pivot shift in life. But that's how I kind of found VIPKid. I sat in a Panera Bread all day on like January 5th, 2018. I got hired, and then I made a whole like $17 my first month, and I just kind of went from there.
So did you, at the beginning of VIPKid, they had that like bonus, like if you did so many recruiting, did you ever get into that and make some of the big bonuses?
Never got into it very much. I think my only like referral bonus I got one time was $500. I knew it existed, but I always thought that's not going to be for me. And then I started making YouTube videos, not for referral, but they were just to help people. And I had done YouTube. I actually have a second channel. I don't know if I said that here, that documented my cruise ship life. Like I shared what it was like auditioning and living on board. And I thought, let's make a second channel that just documents like this chapter. So if I want to, I can look back and say, here's the channel that documented cruise ship, buying my first house, getting married. Now here is my Kristen's Classroom YouTube channel documenting working online. And if I have any other platform, something happens, I can document it. And then all of a sudden questions just came in. How do I do this? How do I do that? So I just started doing like a weekly Q&A where I'll sit down and just answer one question a week. And here we are 3 years later. Yeah, 3 years later. Ooh.
So your channel wasn't really into like making the referral bonuses?
No, if you go back and look, I don't think I ever said I have a referral code down below. I usually just said if you I put it in the description because people kept asking for it, but I never was like, if you're interested, here's my referral. If somebody wrote to me and asked me a question, I would answer them the same way I would answer somebody that had used my referral code.
Wow,
like
that is a gift.
It was
doing it for a gift to us.
I would get some angry emails too because people didn't know that I don't get their email addresses. So if Susie uses my referral code right now, I don't get a copy of her email address. So I get a message from people being like, I used your code and you didn't even reach out to me. How dare you? You're just after money. And I have to go and explain. And some people like, they don't believe me. So I just at one point was like, well, I can't please them all. I'm just going to do what I can. I've made my peace with it. Maybe if they do get hired and they have a code, they'll learn like, wow, Kristen really couldn't have our email addresses.
Well, they made it a lot harder. Like once they took away the bonus, I got bonus one time of an extra 100. So I got like 3 in 1 month, but that's it. So Evelyn's asking, how do you get so successful in your YouTube channel and advice for YouTubers?
Aw, Evelyn, I'm going to write to you. I'm actually working on like a mini course to help that with adults because I do this a lot on OutSchool. I teach a lot of kids and a lot of questions. Like my most popular camp this summer was like my YouTube creator camp. Like that was just what the kids wanted. I made it for them. And I actually went and did a camp in California a few years ago called YouTube Next Up Camp. You had to be a smaller YouTuber. They don't have it anymore. I don't know if it's going to come back post-pandemic. But they would teach you how to research topics, how to find keywords people were already looking for, how to make engaging content, how to get people to subscribe, how to build a community. And a lot of the stuff they taught me, I was very stubborn-minded back then, as I probably still am now. But I would tell anybody that asked, how do you get successful? I would just say, pick your topic. My biggest mistake on my first channel, I would just make videos about everything. So nobody knew what to subscribe to me for. So pick a topic and stay consistent. Those are the 2 things. Oh, and don't compare yourself to people. Because the second you do that, it is no longer fun. It's a numbers game. And you start comparing, well, he or she got this many subscribers or views and I only got this much. I must be a horrible content creator. So that'd be the advice I would tell people. And it can be really frustrating if you are putting in the hours, you're putting in the time, And that's where I really do recommend taking breaks, which, like I mentioned earlier in our chat, that's what I'm doing right now. There'll be no videos on my channel this week. I do believe next Tuesday. I keep it all on a separate Google Calendar that I don't look at unless I go and search for it. That way I don't see what needs to be edited, what thumbnails need to go out, because YouTube itself could be a full-time job. You know this. If you have to edit every single week, and I do 2 videos a week on this channel.
Oh, I do the lives, and then I did for VIPKid, I did a few brand contributor videos. And I couldn't believe how much time. And then the person I'd send the video to would say, "It's a great video. You just need to change this one thing." And that one thing would be like, I have to redo the entire video.
Yeah. I'm doing a couple of those right now, and they're my first time doing like big wig sponsorships that involve like, here is your down payment, here is you sending in the video to be approved. I have never done that before. This is my that's why I don't consider myself like a real YouTuber, because I consider the big ones to be the real ones that live off their sponsorships. I do. One of my closest YouTuber friends actually has over 1 million subscribers, and to see what people pay her to do even like a 30-second clip in her video. She can do a video about anything she wants, and as long as she says like, today's video is brought to you by, you know, Canon camera. Last year she did one with CVS pharmacies, and she's showing me like these pay stubs that came in, and on top of her cash, she would get to buy like products. She'd get like a little gift card from the pharmacies, and she could go buy like her makeup and her hair products if she wanted to say in her videos, like, I did do my hair and makeup with stuff I bought at CVS. And then, so
how did she get to be that high of a number type?
You're not gonna like my answer to that, Cindy.
Okay.
It was a lot easier to grow on YouTube 10 years ago because there were no sponsorships. There weren't millions of creators competing. And if somebody was a big creator and you made a video, if someone was a big creator and they made a video, you could reply to it and YouTube would put your video right below theirs. So if someone had 1 million subscribers and they made a video and all you did was reply to it and share your thoughts or opinions on it, you used to be put right below the big wig. Like, it was a lot. She even credits, she goes, Kristen, she started out with hair and makeup tutorials in high school. That's all. That was her channel. And now she does real estate on the same channel. She's like the living proof of how you can start in one topic and then pivot to another. A lot of the kids in my out school YouTube camps, they always say, well, I did Fortnite and now I want to do Roblox. Should I just make another channel? And I'm like, no, this channel is your home base. And then I always explain, like, I used to teach for company A, which is VIPKid, and now I do videos for company B, and I didn't change because I don't tell the kids, like, company names. They will have no idea. What's nice about teaching kids YouTube, at least for me, because we're not supposed to share, like, our personal information. So I will use my YouTube channel as an example, but never once have I seen an out-school student subscribe, because they're usually into, like, slime tutorials and gaming. They're like, what is this teacher content? Which is fantastic. So I'm like, see, you don't need to subscribe to this. This is not your cup of tea, it works really nicely because what they're interested in, I do not have in that context. But I will get them, they'll write me back like 2 months later and be like, Miss Kristen, I followed your advice. I always tell the kids to make, and this can work on YouTube with any creator, I tell them to make tutorials. Because, bye. My husband's going to work. He's out. I was actually at the phone this morning. But I tell the kids, if they're trying to grow their channels, especially if they're doing something that all their friends do, I tell them to do tutorials. And I explain how on Kristen's classroom, I got started just by doing tutorials. People would ask questions. And they would look for answers. And they would look for answers on YouTube, on Google, on search engine, just the internet. They wanted content to answer their questions. And I I had a train of thought where I was going with this. I would just tell them, hey, what do you know about the games you love? How could you do, I usually say, I don't know anything about Fortnite. What would you tell me, like top 10 tips for beginning Fortnite players? Oh, here's what I was going to tell you. When I went to YouTube Next Up Camp, the first thing they told us was YouTube actually operates very simply. People come to YouTube for only two reasons only. They want to learn something, they want to be entertained. You can make videos about one or the other or both, but that's why they are here. And that kind of stuck with me. I thought, okay, well, whenever I'm making a video, I always think, okay, what is this going to do to the audience? Is this going to teach them something or entertain them? Now, the videos that I'm working on, like for next week, might kind of balance both sides. Because they're going to be like routines, and vlogs are usually entertainment, but a lot of people write to me and say, I get a lot of my Google Calendar organization or how you clean your desk or how you stay so productive just from watching your vlogs. Jason wrote that he got his first 100 subscribers.
Jason does these, like, I watched it because I've been driving to school because I'm going to be teaching in person this year. And I'm driving to school, and he has these videos where he's driving to school and he's just chatting. And somehow he got 1,000 subscribers. I'd like to know how in the world that happened. Maybe he has like this fan club somewhere, and he just says watch, but he only has 100 subscribers. I don't know how that worked. And they're not very.
He got 1,000 views, but he got 100 subscribers.
Yeah, 1,000.
100 subscribers, but 1,000 views. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 1,000 views. I don't know how in the world he did that. So I have to have him on my channel.
He must have done something that triggered the YouTube algorithm. The last I heard about the algorithm is YouTube is now competing with all these other platforms, right? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Clubhouse. If you can make content that keeps viewers not only on your channel, but on the YouTube platform, YouTube knows, hey, Kristen's video keeps a majority of the viewers on YouTube and not somewhere else. Let's push that video to other people that are not subscribed. That's how you're seeing people with smaller subscriber counts have these like blow up viral videos. It's just because YouTube's a business. They want to keep you, the viewer, on the platform. So they want to reward those people who make content that keep you here. That's how the people who were already big YouTubers before, like it was a big paid full-time job opportunity, it made it a lot easier for people who had hundreds of thousands of subscribers to keep growing because they already had the eyeballs on them. They were already keeping people on YouTube. So it honestly is really difficult to grow an authentic channel anymore. Like, when I tried to grow my first channel, I'd have kids be like, my dad says I can have $100 to buy 10,000 subscribers. And I'm like, no, do not do that. That is the worst idea. Don't. So people are now advertising, buying subscribers, buying followers, buying thumbs ups or engagement in a world that is so hungry for online attention. I never thought I'd see it, but I can't say I'm shocked anymore. That's honestly the wording I use when I talk to parents.
It makes sense.
Yeah. I do
like
tell
you could go to these groups too, like on Facebook, and everybody's like subscribe. Like we have a group for VIPKid teachers and YouTubers, which that's legitimate. Like we all kind of know each other.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in that group too. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and we do watch each other's videos and stuff like that. But there's other groups where they don't really care what your content is. We just sub and that kind of thing.
Yep. I did that on my first channel. I was subbing for like 6 months on my original like cruise ship channel. So I would have a bunch of subscribers, but my view count was really low, which in the end doesn't really help your channel because YouTube would see, oh, hey, she has 1,000 subscribers, but like 8 people watch this video. So do we want to push it out to other people? So it honestly is a hit or miss. Some of the videos I did not think were going to do well, surprisingly did. So yes, there is a little bit of luck involved, as with everything in life.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm trying to think of like examples here. I did a video once where I was just answering a girl's question. She knew that I was saving to buy this house. I was working in corporate America, and I was going through my like initial caffeine phase. Fun fact, I know you guys see me post about coffee all the time online. I didn't start drinking coffee till I was 28 years old. I got a bachelor's and a master's degree without drinking coffee.
Wow.
And looking back, I'm like, how did I do this? But I was getting Starbucks a lot. So I figured out how to get like a cheaper Starbucks drink. And somebody asked me how to do this. So Cindy, just to answer that girl's question, I took my cell phone in my car, horribly lit video. It was just not well made. And 175,000 people watched it because they didn't care about me. They cared about the content. So that was the other thing I learned in YouTube Next Up Camp is after they told us people come to YouTube for 2 reasons, the next thing they said, and those 2 reasons aren't you. And a lot of people got like bent out of shape. They were like, no, I'm an influencer. They want to know about me. And it clicked with me. I was like, no, this makes sense.
Wow.
They're not here for me. That's why a lot of my Kristen's classroom content is how to do this, how to do that. I very recently, as you probably saw, just started doing vlogs because I think in the back of my mind, vlogs are about me. So that's not what people want. They don't come to this channel for me. But ever since I hit about like 10 or 12,000 subscribers, I started to think, okay, you have a community here. So you can now put a mix of here's tutorials to help your followers and potential followers versus here is a vlog. It makes sense because if I look at my channel, at least Kristen's Classroom, the bigger videos, the ones that have done really well are tutorials. I'm curious now, what is my most watched video?
I really like to just let you know in person. I like the way you do kind of, I like the speed of what you talk. Like you don't talk too fast, but you don't talk too slow. Some videos are so slow that I just put it on like fast. You know, I want to hear the content. The talking is way too slow.
Yep.
I think you have a good pace for your speaking, and you do kind of switch gears, which keeps people's attention instead of going like chatting for 20 minutes. You have different things.
I try to have a balance. I did take a class at Next Up Camp about like online visual storytelling, which I haven't used much in like the tutorial videos, but yeah, in the vlogs, you'll notice I have a lot of like cutscenes. So if I am sharing how I meal prep as a teacher, because I am currently trying to take off the 25 pounds I found in my 3 years of in classroom teaching, particularly classroom pandemic teaching. So I'll share in those vlogs, like here's me preparing my food, but I'll always put like a 30-second really nice song clip that has like somebody singing, and I'll put cutscenes in here. So you'll see like 2 seconds of this and 2 seconds of that. I learned all of that. That's something I'll probably also put in my like YouTube Creator Academy for adults. But the pacing tips, I can't say I got myself. My side hustle outside of online teaching is I do a lot of voiceover. And I know I like briefly mentioned that. I've done voiceover. I don't know if you have these grocery stores. Do you have a Kroger grocery store where you live?
We don't here, but I've seen them.
Okay. So over the last few years, as an actor, I've been trying to find like what are things I could do. And in the last year, what are things I can do at home? So I am an actor in the union. So I do have like my equity card. So long story short, if you want to be on Broadway, you have to have an equity card. It's a member of the union, long story short. But part of being in the union is you have like access to a website that shows you different auditions. And I wasn't driving or flying anywhere for commercials or movies. I'm married now, so that's not going to happen. But here in my studio, I can do voiceover. I can submit for projects. We don't really call it auditioning or trying out. So I can teach some mornings like 7 to 11, 2 hours VIPKid, 2 hours out school, take a half-hour break, set up, and then I can read for an audition. I can usually say something like, I'm audition number 216. This is Kristen reading for the Suave Hair Care commercial, and I'll read it and send it out on its way. So that's where the pacing that you mentioned, that's where that comes in, because I've had people listen to me do ads, or I've done like initial broadcast submissions. I've tried out for various different projects that just kind of keep me in the door of performing, even when all the theaters here have shut down. We do have a couple professional theaters in town, but they have not yet opened their doors for the 21-22 season. 2021-2022 season. There we go. Words are hard this morning.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know I wanted to keep it to a half hour. I knew that was going to be hard, but
that's totally
what are your goals for the future? Are you trying to grow your YouTube channel, or you want to be a professional teacher? You know, where you headed?
My first goal.
I'm a professional teacher at this point.
I was about to say, I think I might be there. I still don't feel like I'm there. Just, I don't feel like I'm there, but that's okay. My goal right now, if I had to put one here on Wednesday, August 25th, in case I look back on this one day, my very last teacher salary paycheck comes in 48 hours. So in 48 hours, I am a 100% solopreneur. I work for myself. My schedule, my classes, my work hours, my finances are all my responsibility, which they were before, but now it's going to be all on me to bring in money to like support and keep paying my bills. So my number one goal would just be to take it slow, stop freaking out. There are moments where I'll wake up and I'll be like, you don't have that paycheck anymore in September. So just like biggest goal is just to pivot. I like that word. We've been using that word a lot in this community. I just want to pivot into solopreneurship. I may take a step back with content to make more time for things like I'm building my website, because I've been making a bunch of teacher resources, and up until now, you've had to go to my Teachers Pay Teacher store or go on my mailing list or wherever I have them. I would like to just have them all be in one home base, like my OutSchool Teachers Guide. I put that as you could only access it last year by being on a mailing list, and the only person who could submit that mailing list was me. I didn't know how to automate it yet at that point. And I thought maybe 100 people will take that. I'll grow my mailing list to 100 people. 16,000 people later, I learned it's time to have a website, because I would go and I would check and see how many people joined and were waiting for that guide. So then I did put it on my Teachers Pay Teacher store, which I did not start doing until like the beginning of 2021, when I had so many people joining this YouTube channel. They joined Kristen's classroom not for OutSchool, but because they knew I was a music teacher, and I had done a couple like pandemic teaching vlogs, and they were like, I need some resources. Can you make something for me? And I'd make it and I'd put it on. So people are always like, yeah, make a TPT shop. And I never had planned to do it, but here we are. I did not realize that August was like the big month for high traffic sales on your TPT store. I did not know. I'm literally learning as I go. I wish I could be like, yes, I knew. I did my research. But no, biggest goal is just to have a smooth pivot and to be able to balance the 3 online platforms of VIPKid, OutSchool, and then to fill in the blocks where they're empty, Cambly. So if you know anybody that teaches for Cambly and wants to give any tips, let me know.
We actually signed up for them, but I'm like, it's like $10 an hour all said and done. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I could do more for $10. I could save $10.
Yep. I'm doing some sponsored content for them in the fall. And I told them I wouldn't make the content unless I was actually on the platform. They were like, will you just talk about us? And I was like, what do you want me to say? Cambly is a company I know, but I haven't worked. So we like figured it all out. They expedited the application so I could actually say, and I filmed the whole thing. I filmed, here's me, applying. Here's the date and time I applied. Here's the date and time they let me in. Here's my teaching. And I only have planned. And I told them this. I said, hey, I will not make it sound, I will not lie to my community and say, oh yeah, I have specific times I teach for Cambly. You'll see it in my videos. I will state only if I have like maybe a half-hour block that didn't book. So if I have a VIPKid before and OutSchool after, nothing in the middle. and I really want to like bring in as much income as I can during my work hours, I will open up that slot with Cambly. And they were fine with that. I think they're just trying to make themselves be known in this time of forced pivot. Is that the right word? Am I explaining?
It's great for college students. Like, say you're in college and you're just hanging out. You don't have anything else to do or whatever. And you don't have to sign up to a job. Like, it's hard when you're in college to even know when your times are available. So
Cindy, I have to tell you, I helped a college student get hired on OutSchool, and I look at their numbers and I'm like, I was excited when I tutored in my undergrad and master's work. I tutored one-on-one for like $15 an hour. And at that point I was like, I have made it. I helped somebody who turned 18 or 19. They're a sophomore in college, and they're a big gamer. So guess what they make OutSchool classes on? And they are making bank. I look at that and I go, oh my God, he's going to pay his tuition bill while he is still there. He makes the time. I know I think he's studying biochemistry. So he'll wake up at 7:15 and he'll teach a 7:30 gaming class, and it will fill no matter what time, because there are kids who love games in every time zone.
All over the world. Yes. And Tim is here, online teacher dude. Hey, Tim.
Good morning, Tim.
Thanks for coming by. Well, thank you so much, Kristen. I really appreciate it. And I will definitely, I'll definitely be watching for whatever you put up. I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Yep.
And I really appreciate the fact of, Kristen and Tim just bringing content that people can just sift through and try to, it's a hard time for many of us, because not only are we losing, for me, I love this job. I love VIPKid. I love teaching online. It's just been, even some people say I would do this if I didn't get paid, but we all know I'm getting paid.
Yeah, I feel like that with theater now. I used to do theater and not get paid, and now that I have been paid, it's really difficult if I see an opportunity and it's not paid. Now I kind of take a step back and I go, I think I'm going to let somebody else have that opportunity. Not to be like, I am worth being paid, but it's just, hey, you know what? Let somebody else grow. Tim wrote, no, I wouldn't do it if I wasn't getting paid.
Yeah. Well, we know that. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
But, it's just so awesome. I love all the teachers that I've met. I feel like I know you, like you probably don't know me as well, but I feel like I know you.
Cindy, I check in on your blogs all the time. The whole Starbucks saw your live last week, because I tuned in and I was like, I'm at a Starbucks. I think I were both in the chat and we were like, we don't want to edit our YouTube videos anymore, so we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this because this is productive. But I totally agree about the community. I feel like I've been in other YouTube communities before, and I feel like the teaching community is so supportive in comparison to other communities where it feels like people are looking out mainly for themselves. I've had people write me and be like, I came here because I follow teacher such and such, and she recommended your videos. Or if someone asked me questions about like magic years when it still was here, I would be like, oh, I don't know about this, but if you need ESL advice, go to Tim's channel. Like, I don't have this advice. Here is someone that does. Like, I'm not going to pretend to have that. So I feel like there's just a good network of people supporting the channels and the information. The one thing I do like to do for free is collaborating here on channel. It's so helpful because it like opens doors for other people so they can see, oh, this person teaches this, and Kristen just left salary teaching, so she's going down the road of pivoting to work from home. And that was actually the number one thing my channel wanted to see from me. They said, we want to see work from home content. So that's what we'll be serving up. Oh, Tim wrote, he remembers that. You don't forget when you procrastinate. College students, if you're watching this, you never forget.
And the thing is that in the end, it really does help the kids, the students. And I feel like the VIPKid teacher world, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that, but we're out of time. But
yeah, you have to go to work, don't you? Is today your first day of school?
Well, I have in-service week this week. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm going, but we're actually, it's a private Christian school, so they're actually growing and they're adding on, and we're moving desks, and it's been exhausting.
You're teaching in the private sector today.
Yeah.
Literally, if I were still teaching, I would have to be in my office in 5 minutes. So that today is my first day of school, and I did find out that my principal did not tell the students that Miss Baso or Miss Kristen, myself, I am not returning. So I'm like, do I just keep my phone? And a lot of the parents have my cell phone number. My policy when I was a classroom teacher, I did not give my number to students. I would give it to their parents. So I'm like waiting by the phone for when 8:45 comes by, because I know some students do keep their phones, even though it's private school, they're not supposed to. I know some of them keep it, and they're going to be like, Miss Basor's not here. Who's our new teacher? But I know they're going to be great. It's going to be fine. I kind of wish they had told them, but I wish you the best of luck. I love teaching in the private schools. I sub-taught public school full-time, 3 years at private school. Now we'll see what happens with online. I'll be watching Tim. Tim is like one of the people I know that teaches full-time online, so I want to know the schedule.
Yes.
If we weren't here before, I pivoted and I put 2 ESL companies back on my schedule. So we'll chat about that later. I'll take advice.
I would like to do that too. I want to look in, and I'm going to keep working on, I'm working on a lot of things, but I'm going to keep working on learning how to do online tutoring, kind of like OutSchool, but do it yourself. So you can maybe have
the ESL on OutSchool is insane right now.
Oh, really?
Yes. I feel like I contributed to that too, Cindy. I'll make this one really quick. I posted on Instagram, there was a morning, like literally last week, like recently, I taught an OutSchool class at 8:30 a.m. and I had 2 students from and currently in China. They were taking OutSchool classes in China, and I shared that on Instagram, and the number of people that wrote me and said, oh my gosh, my parents, my VIPKid student parents want to find a place. I feel like OutSchool is going to become like the common ground for those that can teach there.
Wow.
To continue seeing your students through like the whole VPN setup. Wow. I don't really know how the VPNs or the WeChat works. I send that all those questions I send to Tim's channel because I got kicked off of WeChat like in my first month there. I do not know what I did, but they probably saw Google phone, American phone number, peace out. So I have seen a lot. You can actually go on OutSchool and just search ESL, and there are so many classes. Some people are taking the ideas they learned on VIPKid, and they're making like a 4-to-1. Yes, they're taking what platform is it where you teach 4-to-1? Is that Magic Ears or one of those?
Maybe
which is the one where you teach 4 students to 1 teacher?
iTutor. There's a couple of them.
Well, I think there are people who are trying to like make a business, which is great. If you can make a business off of it, 100% do it. But they're not copying the material. Oh, Magic Ear, says Jason. Yeah. But they're, having circle time. You talk about your day, how you are, you learn colors, you sing songs. Right. So that
there are kids in America that need that. They come over here from another country and they don't know the language. We've had kids come into the private schools. They come from Brazil. They know no English, and
I teach a couple of my voiceover classes. One of the fun perks about doing voiceover work is once the project is done, you can message the writers and you can say, hey, can I have access to these scripts? Some of them are so kind. They'll give me like commercial scripts and practice scripts that they've actually written. So I do have a couple OutSchool classes that teach kids like the fundamentals of voiceover acting. The number of parents who put their kids in my voice acting class to practice English is amazing. It's kind of like taking the VIPKid and the performing arts and putting it together. The kids will ask for the scripts ahead of time. Thank God it's on like a 16-week rotation. So I don't have to lesson plan anything. They're already done. The slides are done. I've done my best to try to make my online classes be as easy and accessible as possible. Do you work for KidPass, Cindy?
I do not.
Someone told me that they checked in with KidPass and they were told they can move any of their out-school classes. They can offer them on KidPass as well. And I thought, you know what? I have been busting my butt to make flexible classes. I have been making flexible piano lessons, voice lessons, music theory, college prep. These 2 weeks I haven't been on YouTube to make content here is because I have been going nuts making content for my flex classes. So where there's one break, there's not another. That's why when you asked what my one goal was, I was like, it's just to have a smooth pivot because I have a feeling I'm going to burn out. I'm going to feel the need to prove to myself that I can do this and I'm going to push myself too far. So burnout. We'll work on not having it. But I'll let you know what I hear about KidPass.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but it is a good option. Yeah. I think teacher Casey's doing that.
Are you just VIPKid and Out School?
I did VIPKid, Go Kid, and Out School.
Okay.
Plus I have my own kids, so if I didn't have my own kids, I might not be going to the school, but I'm going to the school because they didn't really want to be home and I have 3 boys.
Wow.
13.
I just cannot imagine balancing. I feel weird saying this because I'm married now. People are like, where are your kids? But I can't imagine like balancing all the schedules. Like just balancing mine and my husband's is enough. But I feel like we got married 4 months before the pandemic. So no one has asked us when we're having kids, except for the day that I shared on my YouTube and Instagram that I was leaving classroom teaching. I had about 30 messages in my like DMs on Instagram that were like, so are you going to have more news for us later? And I was like, I didn't get it. It went over I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, there's only one reason why women teachers leave their job. And I was like, what? Apparently we leave our jobs to procreate. That's what I learned that day. I don't really know. Anyway,
I don't ask that question because I feel like that's a private question, whether you have 0 kids or a bunch of kids. It's like
that's how I am too. But if anybody's here watching and they want to know, you heard it here on Cindy's channel. I'll give that information only here, Cindy. Not currently pregnant, not currently planning on having children. You know we can't in this market, we can't get a house. Every time we put an offer in, somebody offers 30 grand more than us in cash. So we are 0 for 7 on the house hunt. So we're taking a big old break. Also, we were going to have to renegotiate a new mortgage because, I'm sorry, not a new mortgage. We have to renegotiate a new offer letter with the bank because as of Friday, I don't have Catholic school salary. That is something I will lightly touch on my channel, but I don't want to touch too much on like, here's how much money I make. I feel like there's so many people.
You just qualify on I guess you want to qualify for a certain amount, but you can qualify on one income rather than my daughter just bought a duplex. She just signed on it yesterday.
We are very, very fortunate that my husband this summer, he got a promotion that did raise his salary, not enough that would compensate like what I am losing. It's weird because I'll say this on your channel, I am making more teaching on OutSchool full time, but in the state of Ohio, you need 3 years of tax returns to count your self-employed income for a mortgage application. So,
but you already pay a mortgage, so don't you have proof that you pay your bills if you already pay a mortgage?
You would think that would work, wouldn't you? You would think to be completely honest, I know if you followed on my YouTube channel, I was in a very serious car accident and we settled out of court. You may have, a lot of people when I quit my job at my Catholic school, they thought I was quitting because I got like $1 million settlement. That did not happen, but I did take my settlement money and I put it on this home. So you would think Chase Bank would say, hey, Kristen has paid off 92% of this house. She's probably good. I just think in this economy with so many people unemployed, they're not going to make assumptions. I will say I did buy this house before I was married. So I bought this house by myself. I was going through that whole, like, I'm an independent woman. I can do it by myself. So maybe this is my first time having a partner on an application. My husband is very nicely employed. He's also, by the way, the only reason any of my technology looks good. If you see a video with good lighting or good sound, especially when I did No by July, that was all him. He's an IT tech guy, so he takes care of all that for me.
Now, are you going to sell your current house, or are you going to rent it out?
Before I left Catholic teaching, we had the ability. We had a very nice cushion of a down payment from the bank. The bank agreed on a higher number, and we were considering either renting it or moving into a new house and finishing up a couple home projects and selling it at a higher price. Cindy, the house I bought right now in 2017, a house of this size, it's a condo complex, so it has like the pool and the tennis courts. These houses went between $115 and $130. My neighbor just sold her complex for $210 4 years later.
I believe
so we thought, you know what? It would be really nice to sell this place. I've toyed with the idea of renting. My brother-in-law has had really bad luck with like bursting pipes and letting people live in the place that, you know, he shouldn't have let live there, that never actually paid a penny of their rent. So I've seen the good and bad. I've actually just gotten to investing. If anyone ever wants to talk about that on my channel, let me know. I'm very new to it, but I hired somebody to help me with like an investment portfolio. They are going to help me. Cindy, your retirement at your Christian school, are you on something called a 403B, kind of like to replace your 401k?
I haven't gotten that into it, but they mentioned a 401k. So
so your school does that. The Catholic Diocese of Columbus, Ohio has you on something called a 403B. And coming this Friday when my salary goes away, I have to meet with my financial advisor. He's going to help me move those funds out of the 403B into my Roth IRA. These are all words and letters I did not understand coming off of those cruise ships we talked about. If you really want to know the level of my ignorance, I thought 401k meant once you had $401,000, you could retire. Hence the word 401k. People kept saying, hey, I contributed to my 401k. So I met my financial advisor and he was like, so what are your goals? And I was like, obviously to get $401,000. And he was like, tell me why. And I was like, so I could retire. He probably walked out of that room and was like, this girl's a mess. But he sat me down and he was like, listen, that's just the word. You're going to need a lot more than $401,000 to retire. And thank God my mother made me go get a 401k. She made me get a Roth IRA before I left for cruise ships. Rebecca just wrote retirement info is confusing. Yeah. It absolutely is. So you guys can all laugh at me because trust me,
I'm not laughing, and I'm kind of old, but I was going to do VIPKid as a good retirement income. But
oh my gosh, you totally should. I helped an art teacher retire, and all she does is flex on OutSchool. That's all she does. So she does like watercolor tutorial. Her big one was obviously watercolor painting and sketching Among Us characters. But that is her only gig right now. And she only lets 5 students in each flex class. So it's a very small group and they love it. They do really well. So hopefully, wow, we have a lot of people in here.
Here's Kelly. I told you they were going to show up.
So Kelly,
these are my beautiful friends.
My 403B into my Roth IRA. So I'll be documenting like the pivot. I'm pivoting 2 ways. I'm adding VIPKid back on the schedule, and I'm adding Cambly to fill in gaps, and I am pivoting away from in-person teaching with like investments, retirement, and we are taking a small break from finding a house just so I can do this pivot without, let's go talk to our realtor. Let's go see what house we're going to lose out on today. Let's go view a house that we definitely can't put a down payment 30 grand above asking on. That's my cynical banter on that, because we've gone through it for the last like 7 months.
Yeah.
So if you have a house, stay in that house, enjoy it.
Yes. And honestly, I've been in my house over 20 years. It needs a lot of repairs and everything. But I always wanted maybe a bigger house because we have a lot of kids, or in a different location. But I'm like, you know what? This is it. This is where I live. Let's just be happy.
I feel like that's what we're going to do. We're going to find a house and we're just going to say this is our forever home. Just because I hate moving. You would think somebody that worked on 8 cruise ships would love moving, but I'm like, I've lived the life. I am ready to just be in one place. I'm also sharing an office with my husband. He's working in the actual office, but when he works from home, like I'm here talking to you and 5 feet away from me is his desk. We would love a situation where like I had my own office with a filming space. So we will definitely see.
We'll see if that happens, and we'll stay tuned.
I know. How many more in-service days do you have, Cindy?
We are going to be in service through Thursday, hopefully. And then on Friday, we're going to meet the students. So it's like just meet the teacher, meet the students. But there's so much moving on in and everything. I don't even know if I'm going to have a classroom yet. So next week, it might be just activities with the students, because they have like 2 modular buildings. They have to put them together. Then we have to do, there's things we have to do to get occupancy. And my room is going to be in the brand new building. So it's very exciting. Yeah. So it's very exciting, but it's just some waiting. So we're just kind of helping.
You'll have to cart teach.
I was thinking maybe one class, because I'm teaching 5th grade math, but my other math classes, I'll be in the room and they'll come to me.
Okay. So, anybody that has to cart teach, you have my most high respects. I did it last year. It was horrible being a music teacher.
Music would be hard.
Instruments. We couldn't have band or choir concerts, so 70% of my curriculum was taken from me. And then on top of it, they were like, you're going to cart your way to 6 classrooms a day, 5 days a week. So you've got 30. I feel like I hated leaving teaching because classroom teaching. I felt like in a way I was guilted into feeling like I gave up on my kids. Yeah. But I look back on it now and I'm like, listen, I just need a break. That was a lot. It was also really difficult doing so well on OutSchool. Like there were some months where OutSchool matched or exceeded my private school salary. And I'm sitting here like killing myself to get to all these classrooms. And I kept saying, don't leave in the middle of the year. If you can just make it to May. Like if you watch the video where I shared that I was leaving, I put clips of me just sitting in my car before or after school, bawling, and I refused to show those like during the school year because so many teachers were going through such a hard time. But to like reiterate the point of like, this was really hard. I have to take a step back. Here's a picture or video of this girl like in November and March, and she's a mess. She is crying. So I hope you have a fantastic year. If anybody is watching this on the replay and you're cart teaching, oh my gosh, please write a book someday, because people are going to look back and be like, how did you do that?
Teaching is a very big thing. I mean, this job is probably, it's a blessing because I did not look for it. They found me. So I feel like it was
me too. Isn't that fun? I love that. Like I have people who had to substitute teach to get in their foot in the door to apply. I was just substitute teaching in between cruise ship contracts. So I was, working that side hustle mentality that I learned off a good old TLC. And when I was back on land, one of my good friends called me and she said, hey, I am transferring to a new school. My old school starts in 12 days. I put your name down as a reference to be hired. They're going to call you in a half hour. If you want it, answer the phone. That was it. So I feel really, really blessed and fortunate that I didn't go out and try to seek a teaching job or a classroom teaching job. I got really lucky.
And they were fortunate to have you too.
Oh,
That's
thank you.
really,
They're
that's
about to find out they don't have me in about 20 minutes. So it's
yeah.
yeah. Hey, you. Do you want to say bye to
But
Cindy?
you know, that's what I found with teaching and life. It's growing and it's changing. And
Yeah.
as long as we can smile and keep just like Tim said in his video, his last video, one that I saw, keep swimming, just keep
Oh, I
swimming.
love those clips. They made me laugh.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for those who are watching the replay and everything. And I will be watching out for you guys and what you do as in the days to come. And my heart goes out to all the VIPKid teachers that are sad right now because
Wow.
we just love this job. And so anyway, have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Kristen.
You're welcome.